Archiver, the real Queen Bey from KCK, is made possible by a grant from Humanities Kansas. We start this episode at the 1995 Internationale Jazz Voca in Burghausen, Germany. That's Queen singing Every Day I Have the Blues with the famous Tilo Wolff Big Band. The tune was written in 1935 by Pinetop Sparks and his brother Milton and debuted around bars in St. Louis. It was voted into the Blues Hall of Fame in 2019. But just like everything Queen covered, she owned it. She made this blues standard swing, blew the roof off the joint, and just looked great. Do you think that, like many jazz performers, she was better appreciated overseas?
Certainly. Well, she was designated by Mayor Cleaver as Kansas City's jazz ambassador. And under that banner, she toured internationally. And if you go to Europe, everybody knows about Kansas City jazz. You go to Raytown, not many people know about Kansas City jazz.
The podcast is Archiver, the real Queen Bey from KCK, Episode 5, Ambassador Bey, me. I'm your host, Sam Zeff.
Well, every day, yeah, every day. When you see me worried, baby, 'cause it's you I hate to
As you heard Kansas City music expert Chuck Haddix say, it's overseas that many jazz artists find fame or work. That was certainly true for Queen, who talked about that with Oscar winner and Archiver producer Kevin Willmott. This is from the last interview Queen gave in 2023 before she died the next year.
You've kind of gone all over the world, singing all over the world. You've been to Saudi Arabia. You sung there in Saudi Arabia. Were you there in Saudi Arabia with Nathan Davis?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that when you were in Saudi Arabia with Nathan Davis.
Saudi Arabia was a beautiful place.
And let me show you a picture of that. Actually, it's over there. Okay, could you grab it for me?
I know that Haile Selassie had panthers, like we have dogs and cats.
So this picture here.
Mm-hmm.
So who's in that picture?
That was over there in Bahrain.
Oh, that's in Bahrain.
Uh-huh.
Talk about
the king and queen of Bahrain. Ain't that something? How did I do that? Because I wanted it. I tell these youngsters now, you can have whatever you want, but you gotta want it before you get it.
Before performing for royalty in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, and singing in Germany before an adoring audience, not to mention Costa Rica, Uruguay, Hungary, Switzerland, Argentina, Holland, and Belgium, Queen struggled in California. She was a maid for Will Maston, head of the Will Maston Trio that included Sammy Davis Jr. and Sammy Davis Sr. She worked in a factory and had only small singing gigs. Kevin Willmott, who said Queen was like a second mother to him, told me even though she was desperate to leave KCK, her hometown was always with her.
And we talked a lot about that, about not forgetting where you came from. and so she really kind of helped educate me about learning to judge people, celebrities specifically, in terms of the airs they put on and the way they conduct business and their generosity and those kind of ideas, those kind of values and notions. And but she met a lot of celebrities but unfortunately she never quite got to the next level what she wanted to achieve there. And so at some point, I think as her daughter got older, she decided to come back to Kansas City.
I want to talk about those aspirations in a minute, but I want to go back to what you said about not forgetting where you came from. And I've known you for a long time, and you've never forgotten where you come from. You just talked about Junction City, as a matter of fact. Is that one of the bonds that you had with Queen, that you were simpatico in that regard?
You know, I never thought about it until now when you mention it. And I think that was a big part of our connection. Because, I had not been around a lot of celebrities. And, Night Street was my first film. And she was, she knew Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor and she had been around a lot of people. And she talked a lot about Pryor, who was like a huge idol of mine. And she talked about how he had not forgotten where he came from.
Hey everybody, let's have some fun. Only live once, and when you did, you die. Let the good time roll. Come on, let the good time roll. Don't care if you're young or old. Come on, let the good time roll.
This is Let the Good Times Roll from Queen's 1995 self-produced CD, So This Is London, produced after her return to Kansas City. Mars Sound Library archivist Chuck Haddix says Queen really bloomed when she came home in 1980, and she was named Kansas City Jazz Ambassador.
And at that time, Kansas City is undergoing a great renaissance of jazz. You have organizations like the Jazz Ambassadors coming along. There's a lot of clubs she can work in. And also Kansas City has a very vibrant theater scene here. And so she was able to plug into that too. And she was able to, I think for the first time, in a lot of ways, dedicate herself to her music. And, she was, and of course, when she came back in 1980, all the cats were still here. J. Biggs and Clyde for the Wiz were still around. And so she was able to find regular work. If you go into the Kansas City Star Archive and look at Queen Bey, you can see how many gigs she had. And she was gigging around town regularly and playing top clubs. But also, here comes Kevin Willmott, with a great filmmaker with 9th Street. And that gave her, a certain cachet because she's a star in a film. And then, of course, you have the new theater and these various theater groups here. And so she was able to play extended engagements with Ain't Misbehavin, and these shows that are classic Broadway shows. And she was an entertainer, and she fit right in on those. So she was able to take advantage of that.
Lock all the doors. When the police comes, tell them the joint is closed. Let the good time roll. Come on, let the good time roll. Don't care if you're young or old. Get yourself together and let the good time roll. I mean, let's go. Get yourself together. Let the good time roll.
So Queen comes home to not only become jazz ambassador, but a teacher, a mentor, and an inspiration to young singers. And that's on our last episode of Archiver, The Real Queen Bey from KCK.
As I walk down the street, seems everyone I meet gives me a friendly hello. I guess I'm just unlucky
We started in Germany in 1995 with Queen singing with the Thilo Wolff Big Band, and that's where we'll end. This is Queen's version of the 1945 Duke Ellington Mac David classic, I'm Just a Lucky So-and-So. Does lucky so-and-so mean something special to Queen? I don't know, but it sure seems like it could. But this I know, no matter how big the band, in this performance, you can't take your eyes off Queen Bey.
If you should ask me the amount in my bank account, I must confess that I'm slipping. But that don't worry me, 'cause confidentially, I've got a dream, Lord, and that's a pippin'.
Archiver is produced by Scott Richardson and Kevin Willmott in the studios of KCUR 89.3 in Kansas City and is made possible with a grant from Humanities Kansas. Archiver is a production of Do Good Productions, where Gene Johnson is executive producer. My thanks to Chuck Haddix for his insights. I'm Sam Zeff, and I'll see you on the next Archiver.
So